We are here at Digital Lounge at Lakeside. We were invited by Data Migration and JiVS, and I have Misha next to me from Swiss Engineering Partners. And Misha, I want to know from you, what gap did you identify as a group of young students that you wanted to close with Swiss Engineering Partners?
We noticed companies often struggle to know what's feasible and what's reasonable to implement AI into their company. So they wouldn't know where to start, how much time it is, and especially they don't know the know-how. They don't have the people internally to even develop or deploy such things. So that's where we wanted to come and help companies take the new technology and bring it into their company.
All right, and how did you identify it? So you said that the feasibility is a big topic, and what contact did you have to the feasibility?
So we learned AI, so I myself am a computer vision engineer, so I worked on many projects, and I noticed oftentimes the people, they have ideas, they think it's either really difficult or really easy, but they don't know the technical stuff behind it. And once you know the technical stuff, you have to make the people understand what it can do and what it can't do, and if it's actually sensible to implement it, because some things would be possible, but just never will be worth it to do it. So that's where the technical part, but also understanding the problem comes in.
And how do you guys work together? You are with Maurice and Fabio, and you are the third of you three. And how do you guys work together?
So we all have our own speciality. I myself am in robotics and computer vision, so the machine learning part. Maurice is mainly on the business side, so he goes to the companies, tries to understand their problems, their processes, and what challenges they face. And Fabio is on the hardware side, and he knows how to develop systems and make them from the paper, bring them into reality. So that's where we also have a lot of congruencies, where we know how we work, but also we have our own special fields where we can do our own magic and then combine it to something that actually works and helps companies.
And how do you work together with companies? So how can companies reach out to you, and how does the collaboration with the companies work?
Oftentimes companies come to us when they know, hey, they either have a problem or they want to implement new technologies into their processes, but they don't know where to start and how to do it. And we oftentimes go by and they have their ideas what they would want to do, but once there we either notice, hey, they could do way more, or they have to take a step back and start on the basics of gathering data, improving processes before it makes sense to, for example, implement a robot system or using computer vision. So that's where we oftentimes initially help them focus their energy, where to actually invest time and money, and then we also actually implement the solutions for them. So they don't have to go and look around for companies that could do the 5 different things, but we can just do it in one together.
And how are the companies limited in reaching out to you? Do you have any specialization in terms of industries, or are you open to any companies from any industries?
So we are heavily involved in the production field, so manufacturing of parts, but we are also now branching out to industries, for example, where facility management, where they want to use automated processes where the administration is a lot of work, but they can use machine learning, LLMs, and such things to improve their process. And also the food industry. They produce something, but it's very different from producing a car, where they want to automate placing things on a tray and such things. So we are heavily involved in the manufacturing, but we noticed there's a way bigger area where we could help. So we're not really limited, apart from time and how much we can help the companies.
And what makes data migration and the JiVS platform important for you?
So of course, in all machine learning or robotics applications, you have a lot of data. And oftentimes you also, like in computer vision, you want to keep that data to afterwards be able to make sure, hey, was this problem already previously, or did it only show up now? So you have to keep this data, you have to make sure you keep in a safe space, but also accessible. And that's where we work together with JiVS and Digital Data Migration International to actually collect the data, secure it, and then also have the possibility to use it later on in processes.
And what was the first contact to DMI?
So we got the big chance to work together with Bühler and Stadler to generate a proof of concept where we used a quadruped, so a robot dog, to look at use cases where could these be used inside of their factories. And that's where we got to use, on the one hand, the JiVS platform and the robot dogs with companies that actually wanted to use new technology in their workspace environment.
So what is a common mistake that spin-offs from schools like ETH do?
Oftentimes they have super good knowledge in very deep tech environments, and they have to produce a product that sometimes the market isn't even ready for. So it is a super cool idea, but once they have to go to market or bring it to the companies, they either don't have the culture for it, they aren't ready for it because the people didn't get used to working with such technologies. So it's kind of a shame because they generated something very advanced that no one uses.
All right, let's talk about AI. AI is a big topic. It's an urgent topic. It's all over the place now. How do you ensure a scalability and a sustainability in projects involving AI?
So on the one hand, it's very important to talk to the company, but also talk to the people that are actually going to use it. Because in the end, if the people and the culture of the company don't support such a project or such a system, it will not be used and there will no value will be generated. So that's on the one hand. And then on the other hand, you also have to go into the companies and actually look at the processes and what they do and what would make sense to implement. So it's a two-sided thing where you have to make sure the company itself can use it, but also that the product then fits the company.
Mm-hmm. And what do you predict? How important will AI be in the near future?
So it's already now. Companies that use AI are way more efficient. They are way quicker in certain aspects. And it's not necessary to replace people, but to enhance people. And if you don't use AI, you'll maybe just be left behind. Now, of course, not every company, not every process needs AI. It has to be targeted and very specific. So I see every company in some form or another use AI in the future, but only because one company does it that way doesn't mean it's the right way.
What is, in your opinion, important to close the gap between engineers and business leaders?
So often as engineers like myself, we use very technical terms, we talk about the problems, but in the end you have to talk with the same language to the people that don't understand the technology. So getting on the same level and making them understand what the problems are or how it will be implemented in a way they understand is oftentimes the most important thing an engineer can be able to do. Because without communicating, without generating understanding, there's always going to be a mismatch between what management or the people that are leading the project and the engineers are implementing. So they're being able to communicate with the companies, with the customers, whoever it is super important.
Where do you see the next wave of ETH-driven innovation heading?
So right now already you can see that a lot of companies are doing robotics with AI. So intelligent robotic systems that can perform diverse tasks without being pre-programmed. So they understand what's in front of them and they can apply themselves to that problem and solve the task. For example, like cleaning toilets, taking packages that aren't the same size and not in the same place. And lots of big tech companies like Boston Dynamics, Meta, Google, they all are in Zurich for robotics and the AI part. Because combining that is a huge win, because then you can tap an untapped market that right now is not being served. But it's also very challenging because you have to account for many factors that otherwise wouldn't be there.
I have a personal question. What was your first contact point to AI?
So I mean, In my studies, we had a lot of like machine learning and whatnot, but I think one of the big things is when the first LLMs came out, and after it's also ChatGPT, kind of like realizing the potential they could have was kind of mind-boggling, because they could help solve problems we before had to go and search for hours. We had to be very specific, and now you can just ask a chatbot and it will answer to its best knowledge. Of course, sometimes you get back stuff that isn't true, especially in engineering, but that was the first moment where I really realized, hey, this has big potential and will also be applied for the next years.
All right, Misha, thank you very much for the talk. It was a pleasure talking to you. And that was it from our side, from Digital Lounge at Lakeside. Thank you very much for watching.